tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land.
I hate this show. Oh my goodness. Happy Friday, everybody. Before we get started tonight, I just wanted to talk about what happened this week. This week, we lost Charlie Kirk in a tragic act of violence on the Utah campus. He wasn't much older than my 3 sons, and while I didn't always agree with him, I respected that he believed in free speech and in coming together to make this country better. On this show, we'll keep working hard to unite us, to prove that people can argue, laugh, and still be friends at the end of the day. I just want to give you a word of caution to watch out for the false prophets on social media. There are probably more of them than bots. And be aware of extreme solutions. They may work for a moment, but they never work in the long run. We can't beat evil with evil. Violence is never the answer to political disagreements. The way forward is peaceful dialogue and keeping the conversation alive. So please join me now for a moment of silence for Charlie and his loved ones. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you joining us. Welcome to a Friday night edition of Are You Smarter Than a Politician? This is the political cage match where bold solutions win and bad ideas get wrecked. Tonight's theme is bullets, borders, and banknotes. Who really runs America? Tonight, we have 3 sharp political minds here to face tough choices on gun rights, immigration, sound money, and the Federal Reserve. We'll press them on tariffs, executive power, and even drone warfare. No speeches, no hiding, just straight answers. So the real question is, are America's leaders defending liberty or weaponizing power against the people? So get ready, because tonight you decide who is smarter than a politician. Joining us back again is Travis Wells. Travis, you can follow on X at liberty_extreme. How are you tonight, Travis?
I'm well, sir. Thank you guys for having me back. I had a blast last time, so I'm really looking forward to it this time, especially the chat. I was dying laughing last time. I had to keep muting myself.
I always say, I always point out my first laugh so hard I coughed and had to mute. So yeah, I'm right with you. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, come check us out at the American Liberty Caucus. In my thing there, you see I'm the Virginia State Rep for the American Liberty Caucus. We are trying to bring back family values and general God-fearing ways back to the Libertarian Party. The world's getting to be a horrible, depressing place, and we need family, we need community, and we need more morality in our lives.
100%. Also joining us is Big John. He is the founder and owner of Grumblings Media, That's at Grumblings Media on X, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can also check them out on their website, grumblingsmedia.com. How are you tonight, Big John? Oh, did you freeze up?
I'm doing fine, free. Thank you forward to the game. Nope, here I am.
Excellent.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for having me on.
You looked stunned there for a second. It gets better, I swear. I know you're new to this.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no, I thought I faded out there for a second, but yeah, grumblingsmedia.com. If you guys want to come by and check us out, we've got a couple of different shows for conservatives and libertarians alike. I personally host 2 shows, Liberty Lens with my friend Mike Termat, and also Free for All every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Was lucky to have Free on a couple of shows ago, so thanks for having me, Free.
Yeah, you host with 2 of our friends, Mike Termat and Hody Johns, 2 excellent guys. Really great shows. I really like them. I've been catching both of them, so
Thank you.
Check those out for sure.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. And Hody had a big win here a couple of weeks ago, so
he can't stop bragging about it.
And last but not least, also joining us is Jason from the Drop the Mask podcast. On X, he's Drop the Mask Pod, and he also does a podcast with our buddy Mark Poles, and that's If by Whiskey, and that's on all the platforms, including Rumble. How are you tonight, Jason?
Excellent. Happy to be here. It's my first time. For anyone who doesn't know me, yeah, I'm at Drop the Mask Pod on X. Most active on there, but yeah, please go to our Rumble channel, rumble.com/ifbywhiskey. That's whiskey with an E, not the communist way without the E. And come join the live chat. We're on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Excellent. It's a great show too. I like to catch that one. You guys do a great job, so definitely check that out. And of course, joining us as always is the lovely Terry Batts. How are you tonight, Terry?
I'm sniffling. I have a cold. I want my mommy. I'm doing great. It's great to be here. I'm excited to have a Friday night with some laughs. That's much needed. And I know these guys are all going to do great. And as always, the chat will provide me the laughter without a doubt. So sure, it's going to be a great night.
Well, Jordan scored 63 points with the flu, so we're going to expect just a little bit less from you. So,
okay.
For those of you that don't know, Terry does all the hard stuff for the show, so we need her at full strength. So, appreciate you showing up, Terry. Let's just jump into the chat and see who's here. Got a bunch of people checking in. Shirley joining us from across the pond. Good night. Good morning to you, Shirley. Scientific's here. What's up, Scientific? There's Mark. What's up, Mark? Thomas is here. He already gave himself points. That's very on brand for Thomas. Cassandra's here. Hey, Cassandra. Hody's here, previous champion, and he's giving points already to Big John for being handsome. You might want to adjust your screen there, Hody.
You might have to.
Amity's here, and she's giving 100 to Travis for the badass beard. That's fair. Bernat's here. Thank you for the opening statement. Much needed right now. Yeah, no, you've been doing some great stuff out there too, Bernat. Bernat's been on a bunch of times. Great friend of the show. Check out what he's doing on X and check out his show as well. He's one of the voices I look to, especially in times like this. Amity's here. 100 to Travis for the based AL caucus. Big John, 100 from Chris. What's up, Chris? 100 to Big John for hosting the best night show and his really sexy co-host. Do you have a different show that we forgot to mention?
He must be a secret show somewhere.
Yeah, I mentioned the other 2, and I can't think which one he'd be talking about. 100 to John for putting up with Termat. That's fair. Termat's another Chicago guy too, so
yeah,
another troublemaker. Chris is here. What's up, Chris? Check out Freedom Coach. He runs really great spaces. Couple times a week. So make sure you're following Chris at the Freedom Coach. 100 to Jason for putting up with Mark. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Terry's about to get a lot of points for putting up with me at some point here. 100 to Big John for hosting free so that we could hear his thoughts. Yeah, thank you for having me. That was a lot of fun. I didn't even get in trouble for that one. So that was
no, not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Dan says hi to Terry. and minus 100 for the sniffles. That's fair. All right. Just want to jump in, and I want to mention our sponsor here on Friday nights is Zano. Tired of surveillance coins dressed up as freedom tech? Zano is the real deal. Open source, enterprise grade privacy, scalable and secure, build, spend, and tokenize any asset without the peeping eyes. Zano isn't just private, it's none of their business. And the great thing is, if you're new to this space, visit intro.zano.org to learn how Zano gives you the power to own your own data, your money, and your assets all in one simple, secure platform built for the real world. Once again, that's intro.zano.org. It's a really handy guide for beginners and anybody interested in the space. We appreciate them. Also want to give a shout out to our gear, which is up at freedomsuperstore.com. Look at Terry getting the ticker off just so you can see freedomsuperstore.com. We have the Taxation is Theft shirt, which I'm wearing tonight. My other car is a Killdozer, and many, many more. So check those out. And I want to shout out my friends, a lot of great friends. I got to get you guys' shows up here. Casey's podcast is up here. Casey did a great job the other night, when we were all dealing with the news about Charlie Kirk on They Both Suck podcast. Casey's just a really smart guy and a great friend of mine. Check that out. Secret America with Jack Danger and James Clary. James is going to be on in a couple of weeks. Jack's on again next week. Lots of shows. Larry Sharp's up here, LPA Live. Green Man, the aforementioned Burn and Tea, Legacy Right with our buddies Zach and Andrew, and our buddies over at the Black Powder Podcast. Check them all out. And so let's jump into it here. All right. Yeah, please share this out. Bust the algorithm. Appreciate everybody that's done it so far. We need all the help we can get to get our voices out there and share some positivity in these crazy times. If someone were to win tonight, they would get the virtual Ron Paul holding the Ron Paul trophy, Mike Johnson's signature cologne Swamp Ass, as well as the Ayn Rand Fountainhead teddy bear. And of course, the Lego Killdozer, because nobody talks about the Killdozer more than me and Casey. The rules are, I am the government. Whatever I say goes. Scoring errors count. Life isn't fair. Suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares. The rules are, the contestants can debate each other. They can veto each other's answers. They could tariff an answer or redistribute an answer. And of course, they start off with negative 500 points because the government gets paid first. Here's how the scoring works. Whoops. The chat controls the score. So you can give or take 100 points from the contestants. If you like an answer, don't like an answer, give a reason, don't give a reason. It's a lot of fun. It could be for a great beard like Travis has or whatever reason you want. All right, we're ready to get into it here. I'm going to put Terry back in the back. She handles the chat and the score, so make her life as hard as possible, especially since she's playing ill tonight. So thank you, Terry. Travis, you've been on the show before, so you're going first here. Lightning round. The category is gun rights. Should states be forced to honor concealed carry permits from other states, just like driver's license?
I'm of the rather, I guess, extremist view that gun rights come from God, not the government. And the government has no authority whatsoever to regulate guns or anything of that nature.
That was not a surprising answer, no. I should have expected that. All right, Big John, to you. Should the right to own a firearm extend to anyone over 18 without exceptions?
No, there could be exceptions, I think, in the case of being adjudicated to be a violent criminal who's forfeited his right, or in the extreme cases of someone who's been determined to have, like, say, a mental illness or is incapable in some rare circumstances of owning a gun. But short of that, the answer is no.
Okay. Jason, to you.
You got to watch out for that mental illness stuff. They're going to call us all mentally ill.
Yeah. And being divorced is mentally ill in some states, I think, too. So, yeah. So, Jason, should 3D printed guns be legal for anyone to make?
I'm going to go with yes. No qualifiers.
No qualifiers. All right, quick to the point.
Easy.
All right, we're through the first round and everybody survived. Back to you, Travis. Should all waiting periods for firearm purchases be abolished?
Yes, because the thing is, these evil people who want to go into schools and murder children, a 10-day waiting period will only delay the atrocity by 10 days. They are still sick at the end of that 10 days. They are still evil at the end of that 10 days. It doesn't matter how many 4473s you have on file. Evil people will figure out a way to get weapons, and they will do evil things with them. The only real defense is that good men be armed and be willing to respond with violence when it is demanded.
Okay. Big John, to you. Should schools allow armed teachers who choose to carry?
Yes. Simple lightning round answer. Yes.
Excellent. All right. Jason, to you. Should gun manufacturers be immune from lawsuits when their products are misused?
Yes, I believe so. We wouldn't charge the maker of a car if somebody got a DUI and ran somebody over. That's just a tool. A gun is a tool that people use, and how they choose to use it is up to them, and that individual should be held accountable.
All right. Travis, back to you. The category is gun ownership. Should all non-citizens be allowed all gun rights?
Again, I think that gun rights come from God. I don't think any man alive has the authority to question it, simply because take the first sentence that was ever written to describe this nation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed with certain unalienable rights by their creator, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is the very first sentence that was written to describe this nation. And if that doesn't mean that your rights come from God and not the government, then I don't know what does.
Excellent. Big John, to you. Should veterans with mental health issues keep their full gun rights?
Again, this is a tough one. My libertarian knee-jerk answer is yes. However, in the practicality of the world we live in, there could be exceptions. However, I would say that if a right is mitigated in any way, it should be done with full due process of law. So that means a hearing, a judge having come to the adjudication level of saying a person is incapable of currently owning a gun.
Oh no!
Froze up again. It was a good answer until the freeze. So
the NSA got him.
I think while it's
we lost you.
Did you guys get my answer, or did
we got most of it? We lost you twice there, though. So I don't know if you want to jump out and come back in, or try that or something.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Yep.
Okay, so the quick answer was, should veterans keep? The answer is, if they've been adjudicated to be mentally unfit, I think that's acceptable, though not a perfect answer in our world.
Got it. All right, and I'm with Jason. I think the NSA might be watching tonight, so hope they're enjoying the show. Jason, to you. Should felons automatically regain their gun rights?
I'm assuming you mean after they've served their time, they've taken their punishment. I think
Correct.
Yes. I understand the temptation to say no, especially if they're a violent criminal. But then again, the enforcement of that becomes really difficult. So mostly yes.
Okay. Back to you, Travis. Categories carry laws. Should open carry be legal in every state?
Yes, and so should concealed carry. Mainly because only good law-abiding citizens follow the law anyway. If I walk upon a gangbanger in Chicago, it doesn't matter if he has a concealed carry permit or not. We should assume that he is armed and willing to harm us. So your laws, no matter what you write, no matter what you put on paper, they will be only affecting good men who truly obey the law. Men like me who wear an American flag on their hat would never raise arms against this country. under any circumstances. These gangbangers, they just want to take from people. They're parasites. And you should have the right to carry what you want when you want. And it might sound like I'm being hyperbolic, but that includes everything up to nuclear weapons. Because if you look at what the United States government has done with their nuclear weapons, they've lost like 7 at this point. And the United States Strategic Air Command in 1972 almost dropped, well, they did drop 2 3.5 megaton nukes on Goldsboro, North Carolina. And it is a miracle from the right hand of God that they didn't go off, because that would have cooked the entire East Coast. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm more worried about them having weapons than us. That's for sure.
Yep.
Big John, you. Should concealed carry permits be recognized nationwide like driver's license? We already did that one, but you can
Sure.
answer it too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I could see where some libertarians might be. What about states' rights, state sovereignty, and all that? But you always prioritize the individual over the state wherever possible. So yeah, it should be recognized across borders like driver's licenses.
All right. First error of the night to me. So I'll take that. I'm sure the chat didn't notice, so I think I'm good. All right, Jason, you. What do we do here? Oh, there we go. Jason, should open carry be legal on school campuses?
Oh, that's a good one.
Timely, huh?
No. Technically, yes, public property, but I don't think schools should be public. So I think in that case, you can have a private security where you don't allow weapons in, and you take whatever measures you deem necessary to keep them away from kids.
Okay. Travis, back to you. Gun-free zones. Should gun-free zones be eliminated nationwide?
I would certainly hope so, because if you look at all these mass shootings, they always happen inside of gun-free zones. Every single one of them. Catholic churches, you expect that to be a sanctuary of God where people just come to worship Christ. But somebody showed up with a gun, and luckily the doors were locked. I think that, sure, we don't want our schools turning into a shooting gallery, but sometimes we don't get to choose when the war starts. We only choose to get to how it gets finished. So we could make sure everyone's armed. We can then use modern technology like magnetic door locks that you'd need a Sherman tank to open. And you could have an actual system of magnetic doors inside the school to where you could trap the would-be shooter in a very small area with doors. Just immediately seal them. We have that technology. It's not that difficult. Even somebody who's terrible with technology like me understands how that could easily work. But teachers should be armed. Gun-free zones, I think they're a leading cause of death in this nation, and I think it's absolutely demonic, really, because bad guys, they don't care about a gun-free zone. That sign isn't magic. It's not gonna put up some magic force field that's gonna stop bullets. You're still gonna have these horrible tragedies, like what happened to Charlie Kirk the other day. It doesn't matter that it was a gun-free zone. It was, and still got shot.
All right. Big John, to you. Should federal courthouses permit concealed carry?
Yes, they may have a requirement for disclosure at some point. I can understand that. I think there's federal laws on the book that prohibit that. But conceptually, I don't see why that would be a problem.
Okay. Jason, to you. Should businesses that declare gun-free zones be held liable for customer safety?
Very interesting question. I haven't thought about that before, but I'll say yes. Seems like a good idea.
All right. I have a good idea every now and again and put it on a slide.
Yeah.
All right. Enter scores. All right. First score break here. Please enter your scores in the chat if you haven't done so already, and we will jump into the chat and see how we're doing. Thomas, I meant to mention this when Thomas popped up. His organization, the Mobility and Independence Foundation, is growing massively. They're doing awesome work. So support them if you have the chance, and just follow Thomas on X and you'll find it from there. Hody gave 100 to Big John for knowing about Zano before it was cool to know about Zano. Yeah. I like to take credit that Zano's up considerably since I started talking about it. So I'm not sure that I actually am the cause, but I'll take credit. Dan found a 3D model of the Killdozer. He might try to print it this weekend. That's pretty awesome, Dan. Keep us posted. Minus 100 to Big John for flaunting his handsomeness. Yeah.
Oh, no.
100 to Travis for natural rights. Minus 100 to John. If you're too violent to own a gun, you'd still be in prison. Pro Skills Basketball's here. Welcome. 100 to John for his answer. 100 to Big John for understanding markets can provide exceptions to save us, not governments. 100 to Jason. Whoops. Where did it go here? 100 to Jason. Print guns, not money. Michelle's here. Welcome, Michelle. 100 to Jason. 3D print the things. 100 to Travis. No waiting periods. It only affects good men. Kat's here. Welcome, Kat. 100 to John. Teachers with guns. 100 to Big John for protecting our kids. 100 to John for teacher carry. 100 to Travis for understanding rights to protect one's self come from God, and that includes non-citizens. 100 to Travis for rights come from God. 100 to Travis, unalienable rights. 100 to Big John for due process. 100 to John for due process reference. Minus 100 to Big John, jury not judge. Michelle reposted, thank you. Minus 100 to John, lag, ugh. Ooh, getting punished for your internet service provider. Tough. I'm watching. I'm Interpol. Oh yeah, dude, we got the Canadian feds watching us, or international feds. 100 to Travis for concealed and open carry. Points to Travis for open carry and concealed carry. Points to Travis for wanting to own nukes. That was not a show endorsement of Travis owning nukes.
Hey, y'all, watch this.
Yeah. 100 to Travis on lost nuclear weapons. Yeah, that was pretty scary. 100 to Travis for the weird white pixelation thing floating around him. Boldly done, sir.
That's a blanket.
Is that? I was hoping it wasn't asbestos. It looks like an asbestos cloud, or what I'd imagine an asbestos cloud would look like. 100 to Big John for the double recliners. 100 to John for recognizing individual rights. 100 to putting people's rights over the gross state. 100 to Jason for doing the podcast in front of a bookshelf. Very original. I've never seen that before, ever.
Just came to me.
Yeah, Jason seems like he might have read those books, though, so I'll allow it. Points to Travis. Gun-free zones are not gun-free. 100 to Travis from Mothman. 100 to Big John. Our rights don't end at courthouse doors. 100 to Big John for doing this podcast in a basement in true libertarian fashion. And another 100 if it's his mother's basement.
Do I get 100 for the Sergeant Slaughter signed poster back there?
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Nice. Big Sarge. Yeah. Okay.
That's a good play right there. 100 to Big John for deciding to dominate that first round instead of taking it easy. 100 to Big John from Pandora. Welcome. Minus 100 to Big John, so Hody has to type faster. That's awesome. Scientific, making Hody's evening harder. I like it. 100 to Big John for due process. I think I caught up there. That was a lot. Thank you for putting in the scores, everybody. And let's check the scoreboard here. And I forgot to put it on the screens as always. So I like to be consistent. So, all right, let's check it out. Big John jumping out to a biggish lead, 1,300 points. Travis right behind him with 1,000, and Jason just behind with 900. Jason, you're in third place. What do you think so far?
I'm doing good so far. I'm just letting you guys have a head start. I'm coming back strong. Don't worry.
Wasn't Zach trying to talk you into negative points? He thinks it's golf. He thinks it's golf scoring and negative points are good.
He's already threatened to nuke me. So, yeah, we'll see.
All right. And Big John, first time on the show and you're in the lead. What do you think?
I think payoffs work.
Who got the pick? Was it because I was
being
late?
handsome? Is that what you're talking about?
Anyone silly enough to vote for me, I must have paid off along the way.
So here's the thing. Terry's got a cold, and he gave her a couple $100 bills just
Just
dry
to
her nose
make
with.
sure the nose is dry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis, while I got you second place, second time on the show, what do you think?
Dude, I'm having a great time. I had a blast last time. The chat made me laugh so much. Like I had to mute myself several times just because of some of the stuff I see coming through the chat. But yeah, this is a great game show, man. This is criminally underrated.
Do you watch the chat while you're playing? Do you watch the live chat?
Yes, and I can't help it. I'm reading everything.
It's always fun to watch somebody like kind of like jerking in their little box while they're laughing,
Yeah, you're just gonna see me just fall over here in a minute, and I'll mute myself really quick. My light's dying. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But, yeah.
You're gonna do the rest in the dark. Is this like playing blindfolded, like when Jordan took the foul shots with his eyes closed?
Yes,
Okay.
because I understand sports ball references.
I was actually going to take points from you though, Travis, but I decided not to because somehow I ended up with a lot of fishing in my feed today, and some stuff about some Indian fishing techniques or something. I'm like, what is going on?
It turns out that that's an illegal technique that we can't do anymore.
Okay.
So
now I'm going to get banned by X for having that in my feed.
Oh no, it's just if the game warden catches me doing it, like he's gonna write me a ticket. And the thing is, I didn't know it was illegal until today. But there's this plant called mullein, and it grows in pretty much every biome in the United States and North America, except for the desert, as far as I know. And it's called cowboy toilet paper. It's like very leathery, soft. Well, anyway, the seeds, you can crush those up and throw them in schools of fish, and it will paralyze the fish and make them float to the top. And apparently that's called cheating, and the game warden doesn't like that very much at all.
Interesting. I understood none of that. So, but
yeah,
I think if I go back and read my feed, I think it's all well documented in there.
Yeah.
So,
I've got a strobe light.
Yeah. Yeah, you could stun them with your strobe light. That
Yeah.
might work too. More high tech idea than instead of the poison.
We can all turn our lights off in solidarity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
We've seen your face.
Big John's not going to do it
Yeah.
because he's getting pretty points right now. So Big John won't do that.
Oh,
They look better than I do anyway. They're clean shaven.
All right, let's jump back into it. And again, our sponsor tonight is Zano. Check out intro.zano.org because your privacy matters. Choose Zano, the leading blockchain platform that prioritizes confidentiality and security. This is to you, Travis. The category is cryptocurrency. Should states be free to adopt Bitcoin or other crypto as official money?
Yes, and we need to evacuate the building and burn the Federal Reserve to the ground because fiat currency is nonsense. And it makes a lottery. To paraphrase Thomas Jefferson, the man, myth, and legend himself, it makes a lottery of all private property.
All right. Big John, to you. Should mining be free from all federal restrictions?
yes. Yes, it's simple. Yes, it should be free from all restrictions.
Okay. Jason, to you. Should the government be barred from tracking crypto wallets?
I mean, I would say yes, but how are we going to stop them? I think they will no matter what.
That's probably true. All right. Travis, to you, doing one in the dark here.
Yeah,
Should
it finally died.
Should private crypto wallets remain beyond government tracking?
Yes, in a perfect world, sure. But you look at if you go back to I like to bring up Lysander Spooner when it comes to things like this. To paraphrase him, he says that whether the Constitution be one thing or another, this much is certain. It's either that it has authorized the government which we've had, or it has been powerless to prevent it. The government doesn't care about the Constitution. It doesn't care about regulations. The Five Eyes partners, they got around their little spyware thing, and they spy on each other's citizens and share notes. So you're going to get spied on no matter what you do. It doesn't matter what the law says. the great object, in the words of His Excellency Patrick Henry, that every man be armed. That is the only source of your liberty.
All right. Big John, to you. Oh, now we lost Big John altogether.
He's gone.
We've had a rage quit before, but I don't think this was a rage quit. I think this was just a technical. Welcome back to the show, Big John. How are you tonight, Big John?
I'm very upset with my FiOS right now. Usually it works perfectly. I don't know what's going on tonight.
I don't know if you've ever done one of these podcasts, but I think you need internet for them. I'd have to.
Yeah, I got to feed the hamster more on this wheel.
Well, what I think's happening is the NSA is mad that he's in the lead. You know what I mean?
Shit. Okay. I'll start with the statism right now. Get on their good graces.
Right.
All right. To you, Big John. Should the U.S. ban CBDCs, central bank digital currencies?
No, only because if someone wants to be silly enough to deal with them, sure. But I hate banning. So the answer is no, but not because I support CBDCs. I just don't think the government should be in the business of banning much.
That's an interesting twist. Okay.
Just abolish the CBs. Then you don't need the DC part.
There you go.
That's fair. Jason, to you. Should no coin be declared illegal by the government?
Okay, making sure I get the wording of the question right. But yes, no coin should be banned by the government because, the free market will decide, right? Whatever people want to use, whether it's gold or Bitcoin or some other stable coin, anything you want, use it. The market will figure it out.
Yeah, sometimes I make the wording tricky to just make it a little bit more difficult.
I had to think a little bit. Yeah,
I type with my toes, so sometimes I outsmart myself. All right, Travis, to you. Categories: financial privacy. Should the government be banned from monitoring financial transactions?
That's a tricky one. Because in certain situations, you can quite easily track terrorist activity by how much money's moving around, where it's going, does it have an explanation, things like that. In a perfect world, I would say no, they should not be allowed to do that, but we're not in a perfect world. Then again, now that I'm kind of debating myself in my head because all these major terrorist attacks that clearly had money flying around, they didn't stop those terrorist attacks. So my argument is moot. I can't speak today. My argument is moot. So the thing is it's just this is an effed up world, and sure, I wish that was not something that the government would have to do to keep track of things, but I don't think they're actually trying to stop terrorist attacks either. So it's more of a control thing, obviously.
All right. Big John, to you. Should know your customer laws be repealed?
Yes. Yes, they should. I mean, I can understand why some folks might be in favor of that, but I think those are better addressed through fraud statutes in individual cases than blanket know your customer rules.
Okay, good answer. Jason, to you. Should warrantless access to financial records be illegal?
Yes, I don't want the government getting in my financial records. I don't want them to have access to my bank, although I'm sure they do already. I'm sure they could go get it right now. And I'm not trying to hide anything, but it's not right. It's not their business. They don't have the right to look at my finances. They don't have the right to tax me. Again, they do, but it's not right. That's all.
All right. Travis, back to you. Category is sound money. Should every dollar printed be backed by gold or silver?
Yes, 100%. That's what the Constitution called for, and it was supposed to be immediately exchanged upon demand for gold and silver at any time. That was what our founding fathers laid down, and thanks to a specific tyrant in U.S. history, we no longer have that system. I ultimately, fiat currency is just paper. It's monopoly money. It's meaningless. It's only ever going to have the meaning that you believe it has. It has no intrinsic value in and of itself. In fact, it's a negative because you got to pay the cost of processing to print the paper. So, gold and silver, it would be nice if we could go back to that. But if you look at historical examples, even gold and silver has its problems because Julius Caesar, he started mixing in zinc to the coining process for Roman silver. And it was like 30% zinc, if memory serves. And he made the silver stretch a lot further than it should have. So, I mean, there was Federal Reserve nonsense back 2,000 years ago with Julius Caesar. I think this is just a core problem of the state. The state is always going to find a way to cheat and play shell games with the money.
I was worried you're going to do the whole 2,000 years there, so thanks for not doing that.
I could.
Oh, we know. We know.
I'm a nerd.
We know. All right, Big John, to you. Should fractional reserve banking be abolished?
That's something for a second. Let me think about that. So fractional banking. Yes. I was weighing the pros and cons real quick in my head. It should be abolished. It's what allows for banks to take $1 and lend it out, obviously 10, 20, 30, 50 times, which contributes to the inflation, and it sets up like a 2008 situation. So yeah, it should be abolished.
Okay. Jason, to you. Should government be forbidden from inflating the money supply?
Yes, my answer is they should not even be in control of the money supply in the first place. So yes.
Okay. Travis, to you. The category is tariffs and protectionist policy. Should tariffs on imports be abolished completely?
Man, that's a tough one. There's positives and negatives in both, but ultimately in our current economy, I would say that they should be abolished completely because we are no longer in the Industrial Revolution where we can have a small protectionist type system going on. We are now a global economy, whether we like it or not. There's nothing we can do about that. So imports and trade tariffs are honestly nonsense. And as the population goes up, so is the demand for goods going to go up. So you will be able to find a job at any time. You just have to apply yourself to learning trade skills.
All right. Big John, to you. Should American consumers, not Washington, decide who they buy from?
Absolutely. Listen, centrally planned economies are the hallmark of communist governments, socialist governments. Nobody knows what's better for you than you. No decision should come out of Washington except maybe how to protect us against invading armies. So yeah, the free markets, 100%. Consumers should decide who and how often they want to deal with. And to tack on to the previous answer, that's why tariffs should be abolished completely under all circumstances. There's no need for us to revert to 17th century mercantilism. Yeah, consumers should have all the power when it comes to their purchasing decisions.
I'm glad you said 17th century because I don't think people realize that like this great idea is actually this antiquated idea from the 17th century. So I
absolutely
doing that.
Yeah.
Jason, to you. Should states be free to make their own trade deals with foreign nations?
Yes, I'm in favor of decentralizing as much as possible compared to the federal government. I think that's better for states to say, no, we're not going to charge these tariffs because we know that they're ridiculous. We know that that cuts off people's production way further in the supply chain than a tax at the later stages. So yes, I would be in favor of that compared to the current system.
All right. Travis, to you. Category is over militarization of the federal government. Should local police departments be banned from receiving military-grade weapons?
I feel like that's kind of a trick question because all weapons are military grade. I mean, the thing is the smallest gun can kill you, the smallest knife can kill you. If you're talking about armored cars and tanks, obviously, I think that's pretty retarded. But the issue I see arising is that can the force of the local government overcome the force that the people can bring to bear? That is the ultimate threat because your liberty comes either from the jury box, the cartridge box, or the ballot box. And when tyrants come, and they will, if you check the Virginia state flag, sic semper tyrannis, thus always to tyrants, you will always have somebody that's trying to be a tyrant, and they will try to use force against you. And the people should always at least have the ability to match the force of the state, because that is the only way to maintain freedom.
Sorry, it was muted there. I was actually coughing. All right. So this is to Big John. Should all non-military federal agencies disarm immediately?
I'm going to throw a curveball at you and say no. If you think about it from an individual level, they have as much right to arm. Any individual has as much right to arm himself as anybody else. If your question was meant to be, should the government in general, especially those working domestically exclusively, be demilitarized as much as possible? The answer is yes. So depending on how you meant your question, I'll give you my Weasley politician answer.
Well, like the armed IRS agents would be an example.
Yeah, no. Sending people with guns to murder citizens over not paying their cut to the government for not giving the legalized mafia their VIG, absolutely not. But for example, say if you had armed, and I'm drawing a blank on what agency might have this. That's not necessarily a policing agency, sent out to protect someone's property, to protect someone's rights, to like if the FBI were actually doing its job to find kidnapping victims in a violent sort of arena or something like that, I could see where that would be okay to be armed. But in general, my answer would be, like only in the cases where it's needed to execute to protect the rights of the individuals.
Okay. Jason, to you. Should presidents be banned from deploying the National Guard domestically?
You had me at should presidents be banned, but no, I mean, with what the National Guard is supposed to be, it is to guard the nation, right? So I think that is, at least as it's given, that's what it's supposed to do. And if it's stopping somebody from having their rights violated, I suppose that's okay. But again, I don't like having a federal military at all.
Can I get one quasi debate in there with Jason?
Yeah.
Would you
want to debate or do you want to add on?
I want to debate. I don't know how you would categorize it. I'll leave it up to you, Free. I apologize on the rule structure here. Jason, would you
hold on a second? So for a debate, I give you 15 seconds, and then Jason gets 15 seconds to respond. You will start when I remove Travis and myself from the screen. So go ahead.
Okay.
Whoops, wrong button.
Right. Okay. So Jason, just the question I wanted to clarify with you. While I agree with you in principle, would you have any control, being that it is not solely the decision of the executive to send the National Guard in? For example, Trump's ability to send ICE in under the pretense of immigration law to affect policing and taking over the policing in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, somewhere outside of DC, I would worry about that. I wouldn't want that resting solely in any president's decision-making prowess. It's not the military, and it's being turned on U.S. citizens. So that's the only distinction I would have with your answer.
Yeah, great point. Well taken. I think you're right. I wouldn't like that either. I don't know exactly what the constitutional authority is. But yeah, I would. I mean, if we're kind of calling that like declaring war, sending military people into a place, even if it's within the country, I think that should be considered an act of war, and then Congress would have to authorize. So again, someone can correct me on the actual constitutional wording in there, but that's how I feel about it. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yep.
Our first debate of the night. Excellent. All right. Oh, now we're all out of order. Hang on a second. There we go. All right, Travis, to you. Should federal agencies be banned from spying on Americans without warrants?
Sorry, I was muted there. I think federal agencies should basically go F themselves unless they have a warrant, period. It doesn't just limit to spying. They unless they think you are a credible threat that you are going to take lives or harm property, they should be able to, I mean, I don't know if you ever had it like if you look at one of my pinned tweets, like it's a brochure of how to talk to the police. The police can get a warrant within seconds. They can ping a judge immediately and then be like, hey, I need a warrant for this, this, and this. Here's my probable cause. They can get it within seconds. So there's no reason that they shouldn't ever have a warrant. Like even with today's technology, they should be able to just boom, have a warrant, and then they have legal authority to search a property, spy on you, whatever they have. But we have the Patriot Act, we have the NDAA, we're getting Palantir and their godlike AI mega structure crap. So it's oh man. I don't want to get too worked up about that because it actually makes me mad. But yes, the warrants should be required for any interaction with the citizens, be it secret or overt.
All right. Big John, to you. Should policing return to local control only?
Yes, to the greatest extent possible. Remember, the hierarchy is always individual, family, municipality, city, state, federal government. So as much as possible, we want to reduce that control as much down to the individual as possible. So yes, to the greatest extent possible, allowed by the circumstances, policing should be localized almost entirely.
All right. Jason, to you. Should SWAT raids for nonviolent drug crimes be banned?
Nonviolent drug crimes. Yeah, absolutely. Why do we need to go send a SWAT team in anywhere? Go catch the people while they're out and about. They're not staying in their homes forever. I suppose there's probably some case you could make where that's needed, and that's the final straw, the final thing that they can do. But almost never. I don't think the SWAT teams are necessary.
Can I add on to that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was this one guy, I forget his name off the top of my head. It'll come to me later, but he baited the DEA into a warehouse, and all he had was just these really powerful grow lights. Like he had just these really, really bright lights, like you're growing plants. He didn't even have any plants there. The DEA raided the building. He had cameras set up and made them look like assholes. And one of the ways that they track these places is unusual power grid drainage. Like they noticed that it has more power than it should going to it, And I think his point is fantastic. I just wanted to add that in there because wow, the DEA.
Yeah, I didn't even focus on the drug part.
Yeah.
But yes. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Enter scores. If you haven't put your scores in the chat, now's the time to do so. Let's check out the comments here. Amity gave Jason points for the Scott Horton book. Yeah, Provoked is so big you could see it like with any view we have of the screen here so far. So yeah, great book. Scott Horton was on the show. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
100 to Big John to compensate for scientific being mean to him. 100 to Travis for the beautiful Virginia background. Ocean Blue is here. Welcome, Ocean Blue. Make sure you check out Ocean Blue if you're not following her. She has some beautiful artwork for sale on her website. 100 to Big John for bribing me. Please let him win, guys, or else I don't get these charm blow pops. That's all it takes is charm blow flaps.
He's a pushover.
My kids were worse than that. 100 to Travis for multitasking with the chat. Minus 100 to Big John for Hodie's blowback. I'll have to spend $2.3 trillion over 20 years for retribution. What is this, Afghanistan?
I guess it is.
Yeah. 100 to Big John, since he doesn't deserve to suffer as a casualty of scientific's hatred of me. 100 to Travis for the weird thing looking like the great by God Commonwealth of Kentucky.
I'll have you know that's Pulaski Mountain, not Kentucky. Here it's Pulaski Mountain here in Virginia.
100 to Big John because mining is awesome. Hi ho, hi ho. Oh boy. Minus 100 to Big John because Hodie accused me of having feelings. 500 to Patty from Patty. That will count. Stop asking permission to live safely. Yeah, absolutely. 100 to Travis for being able to quote any founding father at will. Yeah, he can do all of that. 100 to Big John because Scientific just admitted he's a bot, probably Russian since it's obvious. 100 to Big John because thorium shouldn't have to be stored as nuclear waste. 100 to Big John for dipping out and not following the rules. 100 to Big John for going off the grid. 100 to Big John for using untraceable hamsters to power his internet, very libertarian. Minus 100 to John for ghosting us. Minus 100 to Big John for Amity for making Amity worry sick. 100 to Big John because bans are silly, even if they would ban other silly stuff. 100 to Jason for being anti-banning. 100 to Travis for the longest beard. 100 to Travis for getting Wi-Fi in the woods.
True.
Zach's here. What's up, Zach? God bless you all. Thank you, Zach. 100 to Travis, Moot. 100 to Big John for understanding customers should buy what they want. 100 to Jason for staying out of his Amazon cart. Scientific should get bonus points because he always finds the little emoji too. Points to Travis for gold-backed money. Minus 100 to Travis. Mining asteroids will make the value of gold go down, possibly alchemy too. 100 to Travis for knowing his history. 100 to Big John for taking care of business on inflation. 100 to me for realizing not all my comments are winners. That's absolutely true. That's actually Terry. She vets them all. This is the first time I see him. 100 to Jason for short answer, yes. No government in the money supply. 100 to Jason, government should not be involved in the money supply. Chuck is here. Welcome, Chuck. Free money supply, fractional banks would fail, and if allowed, would go away. Amen to that. 100 Travis for his silky smooth, wise cowboy voice. 100 to anyone who has a good answer to what money sounds like. I think it just sounds like a printer at this point. 100 to Jason for having a decent stance on tariffs, which are regressive taxes. Scientific hurt the poor more than anybody else. 100 to Big John for zero tariffs. 100 to Travis, six semper tyrannis.
It means thus always the tyrants.
They just do that to irritate me. They're trying to make me look bad. They're like, he's from Chicago. I bet you can't say this. 200 to John for not taking arms away from anybody. 100 to Big John for understanding that individuals, even goofball government individuals, have rights. And hell yeah for disarming the agencies. 100 to Jason if he can pull the voluntarist handbook off the shelf. Boom. Oh, he was in the chat.
He was ready. He was ready.
I need those points.
Being able to multitask is good. 200 to Jason for not banning the guard. See, I would have had to run all the way to the other room. That would have been bad. I'm glad that didn't happen to me. Points to Big John for actually using the debate power. Points to Travis for provoking a debate. Points to Big John. The government is absolutely a mafia, an organized crime syndicate, and a cartel, if you want to throw that in there, Chris. Minus 200 John for the president. Nothing the right to deploy the National Guard to protect citizens. Minus 100 John for saying ICE is being turned on U.S. citizens. Points to Big John. Points to Travis for telling federal agents to go F themselves. I assume that means fudge. Is that
Definitely
fudge?
fudge. Definitely fudge.
Is that fudge?
With capital F.
I think he's finding these things on like MySpace or something. I don't know where he's getting
He's
these.
drawing them himself.
Yeah.
Boomer humor.
100. Don't call me a boomer. 100 to Jason for no SWAT teams for nonviolent crimes. I am a proud Gen Xer. If you talk to me for a minute, you know I'm a Gen Xer.
Well, brothers in age, free.
Yeah, there we go. 100 to Jason for no SWAT teams for nonviolent crimes. 100 to Big John for law enforcement comments. 100 to Big John for dominating that second round even harder than the first. No mercy, my man. Oh, you're getting pep talks. He's like he's like Burgess Meredith in Rocky or something. You got him, Big John. Jump is here. Welcome, Jump. Points to Jason for anarchy's sake. Amen to that. Minus 100 to Travis because the road construction in Virginia is just terrible right now.
Yeah, I deserve that.
Points to Big John for your Liam Lazy Boy rocking recliners. All right.
Thank you.
What is that, like a reference to Oasis or something? I have no idea what that even means.
I'm not sure, but they're not lazy boys, but they are very comfortable.
Chris works for Lazy Boy, I think. So maybe that's a shout out to Lazy Boy. We love Lazy Boy. If they employ Chris, we love them big time.
I love anybody who can make a comfortable chair. That's for damn sure.
There we go. All right. So let's jump into the scores. Ooh, it's getting close here. Let's see. John jumps out in the lead, 2,900 points. He's got a big differential here between the earned and lost here. He's got the most earned and the most lost, which is a great way to go about the show. Jason with 2,700 points, and then Travis down to third with 2,500 points. Big John, do you think Hodie's the reason for your success here?
Oh, I'm sure he'll claim it is, even if it isn't, because he needs those charm blow pops.
That's a really good point. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Back into it. Terry just left, so I'm on my own here. So let's see what happens here. All right, Travis, to you. U.S. versus so-called narco terrorists. I just had to throw in narco terrorists because I hate that term so much. But should drug suspects always get due process?
Okay. Yeah, like that's something that I have admittedly mixed feelings about. If you look at the opioid epidemic here in Appalachia, the thing is it killed around 65,000 people. And to give you an idea of how many people that is, when August 6, 1945, when we let off the first nuclear bomb, it killed about 70,000 in the initial flash, like just the initial mushroom cloud, boom. That's not counting the radiation and all the crazy, horrible stuff after. It's like somebody dropped a nuke on Appalachia. And that's my people, like that I deeply care about. These are my neighbors, my friends, these family members. I've got a couple of family members who are hooked on that crap still. I genuinely think that if they're on U.S. soil, yes, but I think the heart of the question that you asked goes to what's happening in Venezuela right now, and I think that them flooding us with fentanyl, same thing with Canada as well. I think they should be considered an act of war, and sure, anybody that's on U.S. soil that's a citizen should get due process, but if they're an enemy, we should treat them like an enemy because they are killing a lot of Americans, and most of them are up here in the hills because we live hard lives up here. That's why we're so big and tough, is because all of our jobs are physical labor, and there's a lot of suffering that's happening. And then all of a sudden, you get hurt at work, and you got this man coming to you, be like, hey, I can make you feel better and be able to get up and live your life again. Just take these pills. And you take them, even though the Sackler family said they are not addictive, they are very addictive because it's opium. And 65,000 people died. That's something that's something where I kind of have to break with other libertarians on, because there's so many people getting killed. It is an absolute freaking, it's a travesty. And it's I'm very against the war on drugs because a lot of that's nonviolent offenses. But when somebody's flooding us with fentanyl, a lot of our fentanyl deaths are from people who don't even know that they're taking it. What you put in your body is your ultimate responsibility. But the thing is they don't even know that they're taking fentanyl. And these Venezuelans and the cartels that are just sending it here, I don't think they deserve due process at all. I think they should be put in the dirt, vaporizing with a Hellfire missile for all I care. That's how many people they're killing. And it's absolutely tragic.
All right. Taking the
Can-
unpopular stance
gonna-
of you're on the side of the war on drugs. So
Partially.
Can I get a quick debate in there?
absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Same rules, 15 seconds to you and then 15 seconds to Travis to respond.
So, Travis, I mean, what you just described, actually, I don't think anyone could agree more with you. The human tragedy and even in the cases where I agree with you, someone may not even be aware that they're taking this type of fentanyl or anything. And I personally, I'm straight edge, man. So I'm when I talk about this, it's nothing that I've experienced or plan to experience. But I would ask you this: in your position at the end, which I assume you came to hesitantly, how do you go from suspect to criminal to actual committer of the crime? And to me, that's where the due process. And I hearken back to your earlier comment, which I was very impressed with. Our rights do not come from any government. Therefore, the government can't decide which human being, for example, has free speech, which human being has the right to assemble, free movement, association, all the things that are enshrined in the Bill of Rights.
Mhm.
So I would, while being 100, and there's no easy answer, being 100% sympathetic to what you described, how do you go from suspect to convicted criminal without due process? Somewhere along the line.
That's a good point. I mean, I do have to concede that, but in my what I'm like, I don't know if you can tell that I get very emotional talking about this because I actually have family who's been affected by it, and that hits you hard. Like I know how that feels in my chest, but some people may not know. But this is just it's there's so many people dying, and I guess my stance is a knee jerk reaction. I will concede that to you, sir. It's just I do think that sometimes they abuse due process to hide behind these process crimes. And they drag it out in court for years and years while people keep dying, And if they're citizens, they obviously deserve due process at all times. But if they're not citizens and they're narco terrorists and drug cartels, they are subhuman filth. And I feel no sympathy for them when they catch a Hellfire missile.
We might have to disagree on that, but I certainly understand your position. And again, to prove I'm not heartless, I grew up during the same thing in the 70s in the Bronx, in New York. Every bad movie you ever saw from was it Bronson movies, Death Wish and all that. I lived that, and I understand your pain. I understand your grief when it comes to this situation. But I still think these are the cases that make it tough for us to stick by our principles. So while I understand it fully, I have to disagree with you on that.
I completely respect that. I understand that completely, sir.
Fair enough.
And alcohol is regulated, and nobody's slipping fentanyl into alcohol. So
that's true. That is very true.
So maybe if we didn't have any drug laws, we'd eliminate that problem.
Yeah, it's true.
Something as microscopic as fentanyl is going to be impossible to keep out of this country.
Well, to his point, something that just dawned on me now, the FBI back during Prohibition, the FBI was purposely putting wood alcohol inside of grain alcohol, and over 10,000 people died because of that. They were poisoning alcohol with the strongest possible alcohol. 10,000 died, and countless more were stricken blind or completely disabled because of what the FBI was doing. Now, they weren't called the FBI back then, but they're the precursor of this. And I think he has a fantastic point. And I fully admit I'm coming from emotion here, and it is probably not the wisest thing, but you just get desperate for answers when you see so many people dying, especially when they're your people,
Right.
So,
Yeah, and I think that's a problem that we have is we make these knee-jerk laws because of emotion. Something happens like, 9/11, which we just had the anniversary of. 9/11 happens and, we do the Patriot Act and we're still suffering because of the Patriot Act, So, I think sometimes, when you go through bad times, the important thing is to keep our liberty and keep our, self-reliance and allow us to fix the problem instead of having the government take away our freedom for something that they're not going to solve anyways.
Bad cases make for bad law. It's an old truism, but it's true. That's, it is what it is.
It's absolutely crazy how strong fentanyl is too, because like, I don't know if you guys know, but a couple of years ago, I had like a heart issue pull up. It was like a virus that hit my heart, and I didn't almost die, but I was in very bad shape. Well, like they gave me 3 micrograms of fentanyl and I was seeing shit. Like I was legitimately like out of it after just 3 micrograms, not even milligrams, micrograms. It's just insane how strong that crap is. And they're just cutting everything with it. It may be some kind of CIA thing where they're doing Gary Webb again and poisoning people on purpose. But it's a painful topic for me. It really is.
All right. Sorry to hear that for sure.
Sure.
All right. Big John, to you. Should Geneva Conventions apply to drug enforcement?
Well, I'll admit I'm not 100% familiar with the entirety of the Geneva Conventions, but yes, I don't see why it wouldn't. I'm a big due process guy. I'm a big individual rights guy. So, like the other day, we blew up we murdered 11 people in international water. And the only sort of due process understanding that we have is that Trump and Hegseth said they were drug terrorists. Well, isn't that the job of the Coast Guard to stop these boats, track them, and then arrest those on board, maybe get some information out of them, put them through the court system, then hold their asses to the can for the rest of their lives if that's what the appropriate adjudication is? Right now, why would we put our trust in the government to tell us who the drug terrorists are? Maybe it's the CIA. Maybe it's the government itself. Maybe they really are drug terrorists. Maybe they're just 11 lost fishermen. I don't know. But the last thing I could tell you is I will trust the government to tell me without a shadow of a doubt, those 11 people we killed with absolutely no provocation in terms of a military aggression on their part was righteous. You'll never get me to admit that.
Yeah, I agree. And just to clarify, it's, the Geneva Conventions were about legal standards for humanitarian treatment during war. So you're 100% spot on where I was going with that. All right, Jason, to you. Should narcotics bombings be tried as war crimes?
That's a good question. I can't say I know the answer for sure, but I should add on to what's been said that it's a very slippery slope when you're talking about extrajudicial killing of people. And I'm not losing a ton of sleep over a boat with a bunch of drugs and some dealers being blown up. But that's a very slippery slope to people like, if you designate those people terrorists, you can remember back a few years ago when the DOJ worked with the National School Board Association to say that parents going to the school board meetings and complaining about treatment during COVID and different, teaching of sexual things to kids, those people, they were trying to designate parents as terrorists. So that can be a very, very slippery thing. And if you want to make the distinction between, well, they're outside the United States or inside, I guess that's an argument we could have. But the second thing is we should look at why this is happening. There's the drugs coming from overseas are happening because it's so the drug industry is so heavily regulated, and the opioid crisis was caused by the FDA and big pharma conspiring together to hide the addiction rates of these drugs. So there's a lot going on here, and it's not just that, hey, we have to stop these drugs. I'm kind of in favor of that, but there's a lot underneath it that we have to look at. So I didn't answer the question at all, but that's what I wanted to say.
But you made it look good. You had a very compelling case for not answering the question.
Thank you. Thank you.
I made the point to somebody on X the other day, like, what if they were pirated DVDs? Isn't that a felony now too? It's a federal crime and a felony to pirate DVDs. Could we bomb boats if they might have copies of pirated DVDs? I mean, it's a very slippery slope. All right. Back to you, Travis. New category is drone warfare. Should drone strikes ever be used against suspected narco terrorists?
Against suspected, no, but I think people grossly underestimate the level of intelligence we can bring in. Trump had a rivet joint. A lot of people don't know what that is, but it's a spy. It's a spy aircraft, and it was burning hot laps around Mexico to get it, like, and it can absorb all cartel traffic, radio traffic, signals, you name it, everything. It just sucks all that up like a vacuum, and they can analyze this with AI and everything like that. But the government's done a lot of evil. But this goes back to the mini article I was writing last night. I mean, that's the true temptation of the One Ring that J.R.R. Tolkien was writing about in Lord of the Rings, like this absolute power to actually make a good difference and change the world for good using these things. It's the most awful temptation in the world, because you just seen me get emotional, and I'm a very stoic person. I don't get emotional very much. Like, suspected, no. But if you have 100% certainty that they are narco terrorists, that they are poisoning and killing people, that they're slavers and human traffickers, they should catch a Hellfire missile straight up the pooper. And that's just, and I know that's not a very libertarian thing to say, but it's like we're losing like 60,000 people a year to this stuff, and I think Trump's a dumbass, but at the same time, like, if it stops the fentanyl crisis, maybe there'll be some light at the end of the tunnel, like some redeeming quality. And I really hate saying the end justifies the means, but maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. That whole thing looked sketchy to me. Like, why would you have 11 people on a boat? Usually, like, they strip those things down to as light as possible to, get as many drugs on there as possible. They had 4 engines, like, it just did not fit like what I would think they would use as a smuggling boat. It just seems sketchy to me, but I understand the sentiment, all right, Big John, to you. Should civilian deaths from drone strikes end the program immediately?
Are you talking about the drug program or just in any military deployment?
In the drug program.
Yes, they should. And at the very least, the U.S. government should be held liable for that. They should be able to be sued for that. The victims' families made whole. So even if it was, quote, an innocent mistake, in which case it's not so innocent. But for me, those things should be ended. I mean, I don't think those drone strikes should be conducted on just the say so of either the executive or, at the very least, there should be some sort of process akin to a warrant that says, okay, if there's enough evidence that we can decide that this is legitimate. Like, I would love to see the justification, like you said, for blowing up that what eventually was a regular small boat with 11 people on it. What was the justification for that? I don't want to go by say so. So whether it's a drone, an actively piloted plane, whatever, I mean, the delivery mechanism should be irrelevant. It's what you're delivering. And if you're delivering death based on just somebody's say so, or as a pretense to invading Venezuela or whatever, that should not exist at all.
Yeah, that's the other one is the majority of the fentanyl comes from China, and it comes in through the West Coast. So, I mean, all of it was sketchy in my opinion. But
yep.
Jason, you, should foreign drone strikes require host country approval?
Yeah, I suppose so. Again, I never thought about that, and I just feel like drone strikes at all should not be approved. Um, uh, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
No, I think that's the perfect answer. So I think you said it. All right, Travis, to you. Categories: war powers. Should presidents lose the power to wage war without Congress?
Yes. The obvious answer is yes. But ever since the Barbary Wars in the early 1800s, the presidents just had the ability to send the Marines wherever he wanted. A lot of people don't know that the United States Navy was founded to fight pirates, specifically the Barbary pirates in the Barbary states that were tributaries to the Ottoman Empire. They were waylaying our boats and killing our men and everything like that. And they decided that they needed a faster way to make actions happen to address these immediate threats. And Thomas Jefferson, one of his famous quotes is billions in defense before a penny in tribute, because that's what the pirates wanted. They wanted tribute. Most major nations like Spain and Portugal and the UK even, they paid these tributes, but we did. Thomas Jefferson was like, no, fuck that. We're going to send the Marines and destroy them. If they touch our boats, they die. That's how it went. And if we give up the ability to address immediate threats like that, it might cause more harm than good. Might. But there's the perfect world argument of yes, he should lose that kind of power without Congress. And then there's the practical, we live in pretty much hell on earth, and this is a fallen, sinful world, and there's no perfect circumstances. So take the nuances you wish, but it's important to be able to address threats like that.
I'm going to wager this is the only show that the Barbary Pirates came up on tonight. So congratulations on that. Big John, to you. Should presidents be banned from using drones without congressional approval?
Yes, they should be banned from that. And to tack on to the previous question, president never had the power to declare war on his own. So how can you lose something you never had? But functionally, I understand what Trevor said. And yes, they should never be allowed to drone anybody at all, but especially without congressional approval.
Can I add to his point?
Sure.
So especially shouldn't be able to just drone strike anybody they want, because Barack Obama killed an American citizen without due process in Yemen.
Yes.
Anwar al-Awlaki, if I remember his name correctly. That could be you or me. Like we were sitting in a cafe on vacation, and then boom, our own country shoots us with a missile that we paid the tax dollars on. That's bullshit, so yeah.
Especially since we like to go after weddings every now and again.
Yeah.
And the other thing I point out is, once we build out this huge allotment of drones, maybe the next Waco is, they make it look like it was a meth lab that accidentally blew up, or, the next Ruby Ridge is just, a drone that zooms by there and does the atrocity, so, it's not, we'll buy them all and we'll pay for them all. And then all of a sudden they'll be going up and down our streets. Mark my words.
Well, to your point there, I genuinely believe that the first drone strike here in America will immediately shatter the entire nation into thousands of micro-tribal states. Like, there won't be the United States of America anymore, because all these little factions are going to be like, we're next, even though they might not be next. It would be mass chaos for them to do something that stupid. I really, and I don't want to get into 9/11 conspiracy theories, but I have watched that video of the Pentagon many, many times, and I still don't see an airplane. I see a hypersonic missile, but that's just me, but I'll leave it.
Yeah, maybe
Can
they were
I
having
veto that?
a wedding
I think we
there
should
that
get into
day.
9/11 conspiracies.
We should do that as a topic for a show. We should hit all
Yeah.
of them. They're,
That gets fun. The conspiracies get really fun.
I was standing right under those buildings when those planes hit. I was a Wall Street banker at the time, so
Wow.
I was right there. And there's a reason Big John isn't Svelte John. It was tough running away from that debris. Let me tell you something. So with the Charlie Kirk tragedy, a lot of us forget that it's almost been 24 years since that tragedy. So yeah, like you said initially, Free, it's been a tough week overall.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a bunch of good people delving into these things. Margaret Roberts has been making the rounds talking about her book, Blowback, the untold story of the FBI and the Oklahoma City bombing. So there's a lot of good information coming out. So that'd be a fun topic to do at some point. All right. Who is that one? That was Big John. So
That was me. Yep.
all right, Jason, to you. I haven't lost track in a while, so I hope Casey's watching because he likes to point out when I screw that up. Jason, to you. Should U.S. troops never be deployed abroad by executive order alone?
Yeah, absolutely. This one, I'm sure the Constitution authorizes Congress to declare war and not the president. So, again, this is not a perfect system, but it does at least introduce some friction before we go kill people and blow up their stuff.
Okay. Travis, back to you. Executive orders is the category. Should executive orders be treated as unconstitutional lawmaking?
Short answer would be yes, but I think the president should be able to sign an executive order into being, and then a clock starts ticking down to where it's automatically repealed unless Congress comes in and says, okay, yeah, this is fine.
All right. Big John, to you. Should presidents be barred from overturning laws by executive order?
Absolutely. Yeah. Executive orders. I love what Travis said. There are times when the executive needs to act quickly for one reason or another, but they should be time limited. Each executive order should be time limited. There's no excuse, especially with people aren't traveling by horse and buggy between states and Washington, D.C. to make decisions or to vote on anything. So the president should be banned for overturning any law. That should be immediately unconstitutional. And in the cases where he does have a power to sign an executive order, I fully agree with Travis. There should be a clock that starts like 30 days, something that limits that executive order, so we don't get this nonsense where we have 8 months worth of tariffs because Trump thinks there's an economic emergency that threatens the nation and it's never ending and it never stops. And look, we just have the White House in some weird Orwellian fashion putting out memes and celebrating the fact that Trump has signed 200 executive orders since taking office, more than any other president in history. And hey, I'm old enough to remember when Republicans would say that only socialists and communists rule by executive order, that they should go through Congress. And now all of a sudden, we've got a whole movement in this country that's celebrating 200 executive orders since the beginning of the year. This is nonsense. It needs to end immediately. And much like war powers, it's something the president was never intended to have. It's been abused, and Congress has abdicated its constitutional responsibilities in this and many other facets as well.
Excellent. I agree with all that. Jason,
Can I add on to that? I just want to say they also celebrated that it was the most since FDR, or even more than FDR. I can't remember. And I'm like, dude, this is not a flex. You guys are conservatives, right? You don't want to be associated with one of the most socialist presidents we've ever had.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mean we're surprised that a New York City Queens Democrat leading as a Republican president is citing the first socialist president in office for the use of executive orders? What else could be clearer?
No, that's not surprising at all. It's a little surprising to see conservatives so quickly on board with it without any pushback.
Yeah.
And bragging about it. What are those things you think they'd be trying to do it in the dead of night, and instead they're making memes about it?
Unironically. Yeah, we're the most oppressive presidency ever. Okay, great.
Yeah. Congrats on that. Oh boy. All right, Jason, to you. Should courts automatically strike down executive orders that resemble laws?
I'm just gonna say yes. I don't even know what the distinction is between a law and an executive order. I know a lot, like I know how it works, but how would you even separate between? Well, this looks like a law, that looks like an executive order, because the president should not be an authoritarian. They should not be simply barking orders and everyone goes. That's not how it's supposed to be.
I think the executive orders used to be more like ceremonial or, pardons or things like that. So those would be the different ones that aren't laws.
They also tend to apply to the functions of federal agencies, right? So you could have an executive order that, for example, I'm just making this up. Actually, I think Trump did it. Mandates that only English be used in federal offices as a spoken language. I mean, that's what executive orders really were for, that type of stuff. They weren't made to create new law or overturn existing law. So yeah, it's been totally mutated.
Like internal operations of the federal government. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, better said. Thank you for that. All right, Travis, back to you. Are you okay there? You looked like you were in like some sort of tornado position or something. You all right?
Oh yeah, I was refilling my tea, man. Like,
okay.
I'm an addict for this Milo's tea here. Like
tea.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's going to pick it up or not. But anyway, there you
go. We can't see it at all. Another ghost in Travis's house.
Yeah, it's haunted.
All right. Oh no, it's not to you. It's the scores again. So we finished that round. We got one round left. Enter your scores in the chat if you haven't done so already. Interested to see what Hody says about this round. And and he's up first. That was totally by coincidence. 100 for the comfy chair. Mafia, rise up. Yeah, I enjoy a good comfy chair myself. 100 everyone wearing a baseball cap. All right, so that's 2 out of 3. Burning T says sweep the leg. Yeah, the pep talk from Hody from before. 100 to Big John, because ICE indeed is being used against the people here legally. Been pulled over 5 times since putting a Mexican magnetic bumper sticker on the back of my car. I'm guessing you did that on purpose, because that seems like a bad move. 100 to me for being Gen X. Yeah, I'm all Gen X. Getting older every day. Oh, and I got points for a correct pronunciation. So I appreciate that, because that only happens like once a month. Points to Travis for looking exhausted after all of Free's questions. We've all been there. It is a task.
I think he's exhausted by his own answers, actually.
Yeah. He drank a lot of tea. He's probably got a full bladder too. Patty's giving points to pickled strawberries. He's a berry aficionado. Another shout out to Ocean Blues art. It's stunning, and he's biased, but that's fair. Andy makes comfy chairs. And when Terry was gone, the last hour will look like a grenade hit it. Yep, that's probably true. I get XP because Terry's not here, so that's good. Points to Travis for 0 tolerance on fentanyl and drugs. Is Jason winning in the negative because of golf? Yeah, Zach still doesn't understand the rules, even though he's been on several times.
And I'm positive too.
Yeah. Chuck says fraud is not allowed by libertarians. Fentanyl and drugs is fraud. Is it legal when it would be? If it was legal, it would be safe. So, absolutely agree. Points to Travis. I disagree with his take on smoking narco terrorists, but he brought the receipts. Yeah, that's fair. Good dialogue. Points to Big John for the war on drugs is awful, but if you can kill people without proving it, the government has already shown to abuse that power. Thanks for the repost, OB. Negative to Big John, so Hody has work to do for his strange sounding scented candle. Negative to John for debating drugs. Due process was not the question.
Thought it was.
I forgot at this point.
Yeah.
Points to John for the based points on due process despite the emotional impact. Points to Travis for my friend who can't see the chat. F fentanyl. I think that was love to Travis. Points to Travis for the fentanyl crisis. Points to Bug John. I think you meant Big John there for the debate. I throw up profusely after opioids, and then we get the barf emoji. I saw that coming. Points to Travis for the emotional take on drugs. Points to Big John for dropping out of Trump's Trust Me Bro University. $19.95 a month, I think, if you want to sign up for that. Or maybe that's covered by the tariffs. Who knows? Points to Jason for calling out Big Pharma. Destroy the Ring from Jason. Make sure you're following these guys. If you're on YouTube and stuff, make sure you follow their channels when you see them pop up. I have no idea how you get followed on YouTube. Somebody's got to tell me that at some point. Points to Travis for knowing Tolkien. Points to Travis for Hell. Are you running for office? Travis for Hell? Is that?
I have no idea.
It was for catching Hellfire missiles. I think that was probably what you got.
Oh, it might be it. Yeah.
That might be it. Most people who went to Vietnam did opioids and were not addicted once returning to their families. Most people get addicted due to loneliness. Technically, Big Pharma did not lie about opioid addictiveness. The studies they conducted were not perfectly reflective of societal confounders. I only read his long ones because he sends them to me later if I don't read them. So I pretend to care and just get rid of it right now. Negative points to John for anti-drone strikes against drug lords. It's safer than boots on the ground. Again, negative points to Travis for believing the government is responsible and ethical enough to deem someone terrorists. 100% agree with that. Negative to Jason for anti-drones. Points to Travis for know your history, go Navy. Points to Big John for recognizing the president shouldn't be declaring wars. That do the right. 50 to Big John. Thanks for remembering the constitutional powers of the president. Welcome, Judy. Points to Travis for condemning Obama for murdering an American citizen in cold blood. Yeah, we forgot about that. A lot of people have forgotten about that already. F&A Travis, 100. It could be us next. Points to John for walking away from Wall Street. Points to Big John for getting Slim Fast to run from the debris. Man, a Slim Fast reference.
Wow.
Points to Jason for never deploying troops without congressional approval. Points to Travis for exceptions on executive orders. Points to Big John. Executive orders are weak sauce and severely limited if they exist at all. Points to Big John. Good point on time limits. Points to Big John for pointing out that the White House meme team is subpar. Points to Big John for saying Congress abdicated their responsibility. Points to Jason for dissing FDR. We need to do more of that. Big John just earned a follow. Yeah, he's a great follow. Make sure you're watching his shows. And all the grumbling shows are excellent. Points to Big John for not wanting an authoritarian president. Bad news. That's all we get, I think. Eggs is here. Points to somebody. Welcome, Eggs. Points to Big John for teaching shame to big government, authoritarian, commie Republicans. All of the slurs in one sentence. Well done, Cody. All right. Let's jump back into the scores. It's still the people.
I was about to say, I love when people realize that the Republicans are communists too.
Yeah, I mean, I got lit up for calling them socialists one day. I got lit up both by the Republicans and by the libertarian socialists too. They didn't like that. They're they're not even good socialists. So I got lit up from both sides. So
yeah, they only grabbed 10%. They only grabbed 10% of Intel, not 100.
Yeah, exactly. So I got lit up by both sides. It was a fun day. All right, so here we go. Big John in the lead, 4150. It's jumping around here. Travis with 3,800 and Jason with 3,500 going into the final round here. So it's close. Anybody could win at this point, and that's how we want it. So, all right, let's jump back into it. Last round. Pick one. All right, Travis, to you. The best path to protect the Second Amendment. Repeal federal gun laws, expand constitutional carry, ban red flag laws, nullify federal regulations at the state level, or Supreme Court rulings.
That is a really, really good question.
Thank you.
part of me wants to say the Supreme Court rulings because of Bruin and Heller, but the other part of me has some serious love for the Free Staters up in New Hampshire, and they're nullifying this shit. I like that too. Ultimately, I don't think the Second Amendment is worth the paper that it's printed on because it clearly reads shall not be infringed, but there's a hell of a lot of infringements coming from those F words at the ATF. If you're watching, go F yourself. Yeah, it's your gun rights come from God, period. You know, we can write whatever we want on napkins all day long. Your gun rights come from God, period. I can't say that enough because, as Patrick Henry put it, guard with jealous attention the public liberty, suspect everyone who approaches that jewel. Unfortunately, nothing will preserve it except for downright force. And when you give up that force, you are inevitably ruined. And that is our first governor here in Virginia. And he did not mince words.
All right. Yeah, I looked it up the other day. Over 700 new gun laws since Sandy Hook. And so it's crazy.
And if anything, the shootings have gotten worse.
Yeah. All right, Big John, to you. Best way to grow the economy: tax cuts, government stimulus, deregulation, free trade, or infrastructure investment?
Oh, this one's easy. Free trade, of course, because true free trade nullifies the other 4 problems you have on that list. Free trade, because when you have truly free trade, the only trade you're going to make is the one that's beneficial to you, and by extension, it will also benefit your counterparty. So free trade, by far the greatest prosperity engine, the greatest engine to lift the common man out of poverty, and it's the tide that rises all boats. Free trade, free trade, free trade. Uncle Milty Friedman was right about that. Free trade is the answer.
Reach.
I wasn't sure if you picked an answer. Did you just pick one? Travis picked
free
all
trade
5,
also
but
include no taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, tax cuts, I understand that, but I will admit to not being an anarchist. I will admit to being a minarchist. So to the extent that there is a state in our lives and that a functional state requires some sort of revenue, you can't get rid of taxes entirely. I want to see them reduced to an absolute minimum, to an absolute flat tax, somewhere about whatever, I'd have to pull out my spreadsheets, but it's somewhere around 10%. And just leave it at that. But that will mean nothing to most people if we have unlimited free trade. And that by definition means getting rid of the regulation, getting rid of the tariffs, getting rid of the sales tax, all that stuff that hinders free trade. If you just embrace free trade, the prosperity will make that, let's say, a 10% flat tax be nothing. So I still think it's free trade. But yeah, tax cuts, you'll never see me saying no to a tax cut. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Nah, just a philosophical question. Is it still free trade if there are taxes on it, I guess?
I guess no, but if you were to pick one, because you could have tax cuts, and if you didn't have free trade, in greater proportion to the tax cut, you wouldn't get as much benefit, in my opinion. I think you truly need to establish free trade first, and then get to the tax cuts. It's like Larry Sharp when he was running here in New York. His gubernatorial program was, would I like to get rid of all taxes? Absolutely. But here's like the top 5 I need to get rid of. And I would rather see free trade within New York State. Like no one should ban me from selling my own apples if I have my own apple orchard in upstate New York, right? So I hear what you're saying there, but I would still go for free trade.
No, I wasn't even making a point. I agree with you. I think free trade is the right choice on that one.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Somebody was hitting a gong in agreement, so that works good.
Okay.
All right, Jason, to you. Who benefits most from tariffs? Workers, consumers, corporations, politicians, or nobody?
Yeah, corporations, and specifically the ones who stand to benefit from a specific tariff. So if you're talking tariffs across the board, it's still corporations because they have bigger amount of capital to withstand the hit that they're going to take. So it is going to be a hit, but they're going to benefit by reducing the smaller businesses that can import and take their business. So it's corporations.
I agree. And that's a negative for everybody else. It's a benefit to them, negative benefit for small businesses and individuals for sure.
And even in the long run, it's not a benefit. It will make them worse off. They'd be better off with free trade, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe the correct answer there might instead be politicians, because even the corporations that benefit from tariffs, like say steel importers, steel manufacturers in the U.S., right? The politicians actually win because they are getting the kickbacks in terms of lobby dollars and everything from say the steel industry. But then at the same time, government gets to turn around, provide subsidies to all the other industries in the country that are hurt by the tariffs. So they get the votes. They're able to farm votes by providing targeted subsidies to counteract the nonsense that they implemented with the tariffs. So in reality, I would challenge you a little bit and say, while a set of politically favored corporations might benefit, to your point, in the short term, in the long term, the only one who wins is the politicians, because they get to farm whatever positive ignorance they can muster from the crowd to get their votes.
Good.
Yeah, that's true too. Politicians are always winning when there's taxes involved.
That's exactly
absolutely.
If I could add the only ones that win.
Yep.
If I could add to that real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
If you look at when our country was first founded, congressional members, they didn't get paid anything. It was considered a hardship that was undertaken for love of country. Now, I'm on the fence whether they should be able to consider it a career or not, because I'm definitely in favor of term limits. But the thing is like, they are human and they're going to go after whatever benefits them first. They don't care about us, obviously, because I mean, look at the state of the country we're in. But perhaps there's some way we could tie it to the GDP. Like, if we're in debt, they get nothing. If we have a surplus, they get a bonus. That way they're not constantly feeling like they have to go strictly for the lobbyists, because that's what the lobbyists do. They promise them all these gifts. And, hey, I'll give you a free vacation to Israel or whatever. I don't want to get into Israel, but
yeah, but if we don't pay politicians,
seems like you do though,
then we only get rich people.
I do. I really do.
But if we don't pay politicians, we only get rich politicians that are going to benefit from insider trading, right? So
yeah,
we won't get working class people to become politicians. And the thing I don't like about term limits is if somebody's good at it, allow them to be good at it. Like, God forbid if someone attacked us and we had all new politicians because of term limits, I think that would be to our detriment, right?
Well, like Thomas Massey, we'd be losing Thomas Massey, and that would be the worst thing that could happen. But
exactly, right?
Like,
so, I mean, I do get, it's kind of like that emotional reaction that we talked about earlier. The emotional reaction is, let's get rid of all these clowns and start over again every, 4 years or 8 years or whatever it is. But at the same time, it's like, why don't we just, get rid of the corruption and, in my opinion, defund the whole federal government so there's nothing to steal.
Yeah. Free, I agree with you, because I've always struggled with term limits because of that point. What about the Thomas Masseys of the world, who are there for a while, but they're delivering for the people? And the one thing that I kind of thought might be something that helps out in that is if you eliminated the franking privilege for members of Congress, meaning that they don't get to send out their propaganda for free, that they then have to start working again to get reelected, as opposed to having that incredible power of the incumbency, because they get so much free press from being in Congress to begin with. So maybe that's a way to compromise between term limits and the people being able to express their wishes by keeping their representatives that they feel are doing a good job for them.
Well, one thing I think that we fail to really take into account is how this country was started. Here in Virginia, I think it was 1607. It's called the House of Burgesses. What Burgesses was is bourgeoisie, whatever you want to pronounce it. It was these businessmen who were traders and stuff like that, and they wanted to found their own sort of quasi government that could oversee things like trade. And going back to King James in the 1600s, he wanted to really clamp down on these upstart businessmen because they were very much on track to completely supplant and just ignore the monarchy completely, which would have quite literally destroyed the nation. But this brewed and festered for another couple hundred years, and then we get 1776 when all the businessmen come here and want to start their own thing. So it's almost like we were put on this collision course, this perfect collision course with a corporatocracy and liberty. And I think that men like Patrick Henry were the absolute most visionary because he's seen that there's no way that liberty can trump this corporatocracy without every man being armed. Because if every man is armed, it doesn't matter what the corporatocracy does. Walmart might be able to get its own fucking stoplight, but at least small businesses will still be able to make it. And that goes back to Big John's point on free trade. Free trade is the ultimate good.
All right. I'm going to try to speed it up a little here because I don't want to take up too much more of your time and I want to get your opinions on the rest of these. So, Travis, to you, best monetary system, gold standard, silver standard, free banking, crypto standard, or a hybrid system?
I'm going to say hybrid system because what you invest your wealth in is none of the government's effing business. You should be able to store your wealth however you wish. Should it be silver? Should it be gold? Should it be paper notes or whatever? So hybrid, 100%.
Okay.
That's called the Nunya system.
Exactly. The Nunya system. I like that. I like that a lot.
Or if you're in the Southwest, it could also be the nacho system, right? All right. Big John, to you. Most dangerous presidential power, war powers, executive orders, emergency declarations, appointments of unelected officials, or control of agencies.
Wow, they're all pretty damn bad. Well, up until the current president, I would have said war powers, but those executive orders are proving to be very, very detrimental. The fact that, hey, look, irrespective of your opinion on immigration, which for me, if humans have rights from their creator, there should be no distinguishing between an American and a Mexican just because they were born on the opposite sides of an imaginary line. But without getting into that debate, the fact that Trump, through executive orders and manipulation, was able to get a paramilitary organization to conduct what is in essence military exercises on U.S. soil, at some points allegedly targeting illegal immigrants, but definitely also ensnaring Americans in these activities. I'd have to lean towards executive orders right now. They're all bad. Nothing on that list has any redeeming quality. But which one can cause the most damage? Up until now, I would have said it was the unlimited war powers, unchecked war powers. Because, you know, when you look at Vietnam, Afghanistan, all these things, Korea to a large extent, since I believe that was also an undeclared war, you would have said war powers. That results in the most death of the most people and the most Americans. But now I think there's enough people complaining about war and undeclared wars that it's much less. You always have to frame it. So I would go with executive orders right now, but nothing on that list has any redeeming quality for a president to possess.
It's an ugly, ugly list, that's for sure.
Yeah, you tossed me a hard one there, but yeah, I'll go with executive orders for now.
All right, Jason, to you. Who should decide immigration policy? The federal government, the states, local communities, private employers, or the free market?
You gave me an easy one, free market. Yeah, with immigration, I think you've got to have more private property and people being able to decide who's allowed on that property. With the current system where we do have public spaces and stuff, it's one of those arguments that libertarians fight about all the time. I know, like, Dave Smith had that debate with I forget the other guy about, his example is always like, do we let people just shoot up drugs in the middle of a public park? Or do we just let any 50-year-old man go into the bathroom at a public school? And it's like, no, you're not going to let that happen. So I'm okay with a little bit of restrictions, but ultimately I think it should be a free market deciding, and within your community, I guess we could branch out into that. As a community, you decide who you want to be around. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, great point. I think that was the spike debate that you're talking about. That was a good one. If you haven't seen that, check that out.
Was it the one with David Byer instead? He's very pro-immigration in libertarian circles. And I know Dave did have, was it the one in New York? The debates in New York? Yeah,
it was the Soho Forum.
The Soho Forum. I think it was David Byer then. Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. Thanks. Minus 100 for correcting me, Big John.
Sorry, Free.
You're just supposed to nod and pretend I'm smart.
Oh, very, very authoritarian, Free.
Yeah, I'm surprised Hody didn't tell you that. Okay. I am the government. This isn't me.
You did state that. I did agree to those terms. Yes.
Exactly. All right, Travis, to you. Best way to prevent mass shootings: arm school staff, more mental health screenings, ban certain weapons, increase police presence, or end gun-free zones?
Man, you are an artist with these questions.
See, that's the way you're supposed to do it there, John. You're supposed to say that I'm an artist.
There you go. I've learned.
I'm gonna say armed school staff, because these teachers, if you take the one that happened here in Virginia, the teacher, he used his body. He used his body to absorb the bullets to protect his kids. He held that door shut, even though it killed him to do it. And I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, if he would have had a gun, he could have shot back, and that's really all there is to it. But yeah,
fair enough. Sorry, I'm giving you the emotional ones.
It's cool, man. I love my state. I love my people, and it's just it hits differently when it's your people,
These are tough issues. We don't have easy problems in a lot of these cases. So, all right, Big John, to you. Best way to demilitarize the police: ban surplus military gear, abolish SWAT for nonviolent crimes, end federal grants for police militarization, shift to community policing, or leave it to local voters?
That's interesting. I would say the best way to demilitarize the police is to shift to community policing. Leaving it to the voters is not, I think, ideal in any way. Then you just have the tyranny of the democracy. A voter the voters could say, like, yeah, if anybody has a foreign sounding accent, club them over the head and cuff them and throw them in the back of the paddy wagon and ship them off to the local holding cell. And we don't want that, because you still have individual rights. I would say my answer actually isn't on that list, but on that list, I would say shift to as much as possible to community policing. My real answer would be something along the lines of make police officers financially and legally accountable for their actions, end qualified immunity entirely. And if you want to be a cop, then get yourself some cop insurance. Take out a policy that says if you shoot the wrong guy, if you get adjudicated to have wrongly injured someone in the line of your performance of your duties, you are held financially and legally and criminally responsible if that's the case. I mean, it's not a crazy idea. Doctors have to carry malpractice insurance. The guy who comes and puts the roof on your house more than likely has to be bonded, or at least you would prefer to hire someone who has insurance. And if you don't, that's your choice. But when you're dealing with when you're dealing with a group of people who are the only ones who are legally allowed to carry a gun, point it at you, and shoot it because in their determination you ran afoul of the law, before a judge has said that you have done so, maybe we should hold them a little bit more personally responsible. Maybe they should have, at the very least, some sort of insurance that makes them think. And guess what? The bad cops would be dropped by the insurance companies because they're a for-profit business, and they would not insure bad cops and cops who have had a history of transgressing against the populace, of violating individual rights. You would see a lot of these bad cops kicked off the force, or they couldn't get a job anywhere because they couldn't get insurance. So to me, that's the best way of doing it. But of your choices there, local policing, I think, might be the best one.
All right. Great answer. Jason, to you. Best way to end perpetual war. Bring troops home immediately, cut Pentagon budget, ban undeclared wars, rely on diplomacy first, end foreign aid that fuels conflict.
These are all decent answers, but I think, the real answer, probably all of us will agree, is to end the Federal Reserve and end the money printing that pays for all of it. I think that's the real root of the problem. So, I dodged your answers, but that's the real answer.
No, that's cool. That probably is the real answer. Good point. All right, Travis, to you. Who should control money? The federal government, the states, private banks, free markets, nobody. Abolish central control.
Abolish central control. What you own is none of the government's freaking business. What you own is none of my business. And what I own is none of your business. Period. Mind your own business. Period.
Excellent. All right, Big John, to you. Best check on presidential power: congressional oversight, judicial review, state nullification, direct voter recall, or a weaker executive branch?
That is an excellent set of options, Free. I will go with a weaker executive branch. We just have to get it. The people themselves have to want a weaker executive. Like the rule of thumb we should have is that who the president is should have absolutely zero bearing on your day-to-day activity, on your day-to-day life. If you think your life is better because Trump is in office, if you think your life was better because of Biden or Obama was in office, then that says one thing to me.
NSA guy.
Oh, we'll never know the one secret.
Exactly.
The president has way too much power in this executive.
Oh, that's it.
Am I back?
You're
Am I
back.
back?
Back.
And you
Okay.
ended with a bang there. So I think we got it.
Thank you.
All right.
Perfect timing on the part of the feds.
Exactly. All right. For your answers like that are good for those that like to read the last page of the book. So that was good. All right, Jason, to you. Best way to compete globally: tariffs, free trade, innovation and entrepreneurship, state level trade pacts, or privatized trade policy?
Yeah, free trade is my answer, but I think that also expands on the other ones. Innovation and entrepreneurship can only happen when you have a free market. I mean, it will happen, but it will be unleashed when you have a free market. So I think it's that's the best answer that encompasses the most.
All right, I think we got a couple of these left. Travis, to you. Best way to reduce gun violence: more background checks, ban assault weapons. Notice the quotes. National concealed carry, stricter enforcement of existing laws, or end all gun regulations?
End all gun regulations. And the reason why is I live in the mountains of Virginia. You come up here and you try to beat up a little old lady. That little old lady's going to pull a 410 judge and ventilate you. It doesn't matter that she's half your size and half your weight, twice your age. There's a saying in that movie Hidalgo. It says God didn't make every man equal, but Samuel Colt did. And your liberty is only ever going to be as strong as your ability to defend that liberty. Because let's take a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. He said, let us never forget that everything that Adolf Hitler did in Germany was legal. Yeah, it was completely legal. Everything he did was legal, but it was still monstrous. So you can't tell me that all of his victims, if they had had guns, there wouldn't be 6 million of them dead. Period. There wouldn't have been. If they had had their guns, they could have shot back. And sure, some of them would have gotten killed, but there would definitely wouldn't have been 6 million victims. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, great point. Big John, to you. Best way to reduce government overreach: cut the Pentagon budget, end the DEA, end DEHS, stop surveillance, or demilitarize the police?
Stop surveillance. If keeping the government in the dark is the best way to keep them from overreach. Like everything's accelerated with technology, and even though there might be some good that comes out of it when it's in the hands of the government, something like the overarching surveillance, and by that not just viewable surveillance, but their ability to tap in. I consider Palantir to be a horrible move for this country, and that I throw that in the bucket of surveillance. So I would say to limit government overreach, it would be stop the surveillance.
All right. Jason, to you. How to handle illegal immigration: mass deportation, amnesty and legalization, path to work permits only, let states decide, or ignore and focus on violent crimes only?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the mass deportation. I know there's been a lot of shady stuff happen to get so many people here illegally, and that sucks. But then the cost of sending them all back is doubling all that cost that we've already spent. I would be in favor more of a statewide decision. So if California wants to be a sanctuary state, people there are cool with it. Who am I to say that they can't do that? Go ahead. Other places may choose different tactics, and that's okay too.
Can I debate that one for just a second?
No, we're getting short on time here, so let's
All
just.
All right.
We've got one last round here, and let's just finish it up. All right, to you, Travis.
Yes, sir.
Best way to protect savings from inflation: gold and silver, crypto, stocks and bonds, real estate, or commodities?
That one's actually a really easy question. Real estate, 100%. Papa once told me, invest in land, son, because God's not making any more of it. It doesn't matter how much money they print. If you own land, if you own property, that property is gaining heavily in value. The house that I'm in right now, I paid $78,000 for it, and it's currently, and I've done almost nothing to it. It's currently worth over $200,000. So that's just, as the government prints money, their fake monopoly money BS, I'm still getting paid for that. And if I sold it today, I'd have $100,000 in my bank account.
All right, Big John, to you. Most fair tax system: progressive tax, flat tax, consumption tax, or corporate tax?
I would say the fairest one is probably the consumption tax. Like all tax is theft. I feel obligated as a libertarian to start off any answer with that. All taxation is theft. If there is taxation, consumption tax is probably the fairest. A flat tax is also not bad, assuming the rate is at a low enough sustainable level. And it's probably a more effective and easier, efficient way for tax collection on the part of the government. But I'm not here to make the government's life any easier. So I'll say a consumption tax, because then at least the consumer has some discretion over how much their pockets get picked, right? If they consume less or create a black market for themselves, go agorist, and they can avoid it, it's a lot easier to avoid the taxation. It's also a consumption tax.
All right. And last question of the night to Jason. Best alternative to intervention abroad: neutrality, free trade, private humanitarian aid, alliances only for defense, or non-intervention policy?
Alternative to intervention, I guess, in what is the question? Are we just intervening in a conflict between other countries?
Yes.
Okay, then non-intervention would be my policy. Free trade is always good too, so we'll throw that in there on top of it. But yeah, we don't need to be involved in other countries' conflicts.
All right. And I think that wraps it up. Yeah. So enter your scores if you haven't entered them so far, and tell us who you think won as well. And let me jump into the chat. We'll do the chat one more time and then reveal the scores. Points to Big John for the Intel reference. If Trump was really buying Intel, he'd be replacing Kash Patel. Points to Travis for gun rights come from. Points to Big John. Well, welcome, Texitarian. Points to Big John for free trade. Points to Big John for saying Milton Friedman. Hey, there's one more of us ANCAP than you know who are minarchists in practice. Well, I like to say I probably stole this from Woodcraft, but you know we're all fine being minarchists till we get there, and then we can debate it, right? Right. Points to Big John for subtly dropping that Milton is his uncle. Points to Big John for not going for the sexier answer, tax cuts. Points to Big John for tax cuts. Points to Big John for having a good radio voice, an excellent radio voice. Yep. Points to Jason for corporations. Points to Big John for the Larry Sharp reference. Points to Big John for mentioning lobbyists. Points to Big John for hyping up Big Steel without showing us his Big Steel. Would have had yeah, that would have gotten me demonetized
For sure.
Or I would have made a lot of money. It could have gone either way.
Or nobody would notice.
Yeah. Where is everyone tonight? Hanging out at the bar, LOL. Points to Travis for term limits. Guess I should give 100 points back for not lagging anymore. Points to me for recognizing insider trading is an issue. Points to Travis for mentioning Thomas Massey. Points to Big John for making politicians prove that they're any good before giving them a re-election run. Points to Travis for the best history lesson ever. Points to Travis for the hybrid system and storing the money however you wish. The D's nuts system. I like that. Points to Big John for recognizing that war is being done through executive orders. Get rid of executive orders. You also get rid of war powers. Points to Travis, bimetal money system. Check out The Wizard of Oz. It's an analogy of the subject, gold versus silver. Her shoes were silver, not red. Points to Big John for knowing his debate stuff and making up for free talking points away. Taking points away. Points to Travis for arming school staff and returning the VA tragedy. Kilburn's here. What's up, Kilburn? Thanks for reposting. Mine is to Big John because he's the first one I saw. Points to Travis. I'm not crying. You're crying. Points to Big John and qualified immunity. Very creative response on the insurance take. Dr. Belay's here. What's up, Charlie? Hope Lisa's with you. Me and Lisa share a birthday, so happy birthday belated to you, Lisa. Points to Big John. No human being is qualified to avoid accountability for their action. Points to Travis for surviving the wilderness since I last saw him. He had a lot of tea, apparently. Points to Travis for abolishing central control. Points to Big John making that executive branch weaker than RFK trying to do jumping jacks in jeans. Points to Jason for free trade and the bong sound with it.
That bong is cool.
Was it a bong or a gong?
Gong.
Is it a gong?
Gong.
This says bong. I'm going with bong. There was a ripping noise. Points to Travis for ending all gun regulations. Points to Jason. I just arrived and the other participants must pay Jason. What's up, William? How are you, bud? Points to Big John for cutting the cables on surveillance. Big Brother has seen too much. I feel bad for whichever agent is seeing me in the shower. Points to Travis for real estate. Points to John for consumption. And points to Big John for the proper use of the term agorist in a sentence. Yeah, we don't talk about agorism enough, and we should. All right, let's see what happened here. The last check to see who won. And let me see if I can find this because it's really cool.
It's Big John. He smashed it.
The drum roll. There we go. The bongo drum roll. And it was Big John. It was tight.
John. Ooh, congrats, buddy.
5850 for Big John, 5600 for Travis, and 5400 for Jason. Only
Wow.
450 separating all of the contestants. So Jason, it was your first time here, finished in third place. What did you think?
I quit. I'm out. I'm never coming back again. No, it was a great time. And I saw the comments giving me negative points. So I disagree, but let's talk. Let's talk.
And plug the show while I got you on here.
Yeah, come watch If by Whiskey Monday night. We got a great guest. It's going to be a really big show. We've got Joshua Lysek, the co-author of Unhumans, right here. So, yeah, please come check it out.
Is that 8 p.m. Eastern Monday night?
8 p.m. Eastern time, Monday.
Excellent. That'll be a really good one. You guys are getting banger guests. I mean,
I know.
I'm a little jealous.
Thanks to
I'm not
Mark.
gonna lie. Yeah, you guys do a great job of that. So shout out and kudos to you guys. I will be there for sure. So check that out Monday night, 8 p.m. Travis just came up a little bit short tonight. What did you think, buddy?
Been coming up a little bit short my entire life, brother. So yeah, dude, I had a blast. I thank you so much for having me back. This was great. Sorry I got a little emotional on you guys, but
Not at all.
It's different when it's just down the road from you. You know what I mean? It's your people, you know. But yeah, the questions were fantastic, dude. Like, you got such a good setup here. Like, I can't say enough good things about you guys.
Thank you so much, man. It means a lot. When I'm writing those questions, sometimes I'm like, is this a good question? And then, you know, some of them do great. And then some of them just go like, poof, and it's just, you know, but we got through a lot too. We got through like 60 something questions. So it was a banger of a night.
That one question you asked, I knew I was going to have to talk about Virginia Tech, and that's a hard subject to talk about anybody here. Like the April 16th shooting of 2004, it was bad. But
I mean, it's touched a lot of people for sure. You know, when I was still in Chicago, my cousins were at Northern when they had their school shooting, and you know, that was an awful day. Luckily, they were all away from there. One of my favorite cousins, he overslept, and it was like one of us, thank God, you know. So he was supposed to be in that building. So
yeah, the thing that blows my mind is, like, I was really young back then, and I think I was like, I was 18, and I didn't understand why the teachers didn't have guns at all. Like, I was like, everybody around here in the mountains is armed to the teeth. Why was it just shooting fish in a barrel? And it took me a while to wrap my head around that scale of tragedy. And it was all because nobody could stop the bad guy with the gun, you know? And
yeah,
it was tragic. But that teacher was a hero. He kept that door shut, and he died doing it, but he kept that door shut, kept his kids safe.
Yeah. All right, so Big John, the big win tonight. What do you think?
I think I got lucky. Both Travis and Jason were awesome. I loved listening to both of them, and I'm one of those guys. I come into a room and I instantly want to be the dumbest guy in the room because I want to learn from other people. You know what I mean, Free? So with the three of you, excellent questions, excellent discussion. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed my time here, and more importantly, I learned something from both my competitors in the contest tonight. So thank you to both of you. It's always nice when you can walk away from something having learned a little something new. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Sure.
No, that's a great point. That's why I like doing this show, because I like asking the questions and hearing the answers and learning. And, you know, I think all three of you were stellar. So great points. And
the challenges, guys, that was the best part, honestly, is just the back and forth when we got into it. So good challenges.
Yes.
I enjoy that so much.
Thank you both.
And let me add Terry back in here. Terry, what'd you think?
Of course, I always think it's great, but I can't help myself. Travis, you and I will talk about school shootings one day, I promise. And I think that everybody did a fantastic job tonight. It's been a long, trying week, and you guys taught people, you laughed, you had a good time, and how could I possibly ask for more than that? I just can't do it. And you know what? I'm going to do something that I never do. I'm going to read a comment. Actually, I'm going to read two. One. No, somebody unchecked it. Thanks, gentlemen, for tonight, and thank Freeze producer.
Thank you, Terry.
You're
There it is.
welcome. You guys are awesome. Chat, you know I love you. See you soon.
Who do we got Tuesday, Terry?
Oh my goodness, you don't read your messages.
No, I don't.
So,
Consistency is key, Terry, to success, I hear.
yeah, well, have you tried to book libertarians lately? We have Dan the Tax Man coming on, and I don't have a confirmation for the date on the other two people, so I'm going to leave that right there. It'll
All right.
probably be a lot of you'll have fun because I know how much you like to talk about end of Fed and no taxation. Taxation is theft, and we're all going to go to hell for paying taxes one day. Okay, that's it.
All right, thanks, Terry. And let me just throw this up here one more time. Make sure you're following our champion of the night, Big John. He is at Grumblings Media on X, YouTube, and Facebook, and the grumblingsmedia.com website. We also have Jason, who's got the big show coming up Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. He has dropped the Mask Pod on X and If by Whiskey podcast on Rumble and other platforms. And make sure you're following Travis as well. He's Liberty_Extreme, and he's in the AL caucus, so follow that as well. And yeah, this was a great one. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys make it fun and interesting, and you guys had a lot of good points. Like I said, to start this off when we were talking about Charlie Kirk, and, we got to keep the dialogue going. And, that's why we do this. I want to hear from interesting guys like these three, and then I want to hear from the chat as well. So you guys really make the dialogue interesting, and that's how we're going to make progress in this country, is by getting as many good ideas out there, having as many people hear them as possible, and hopefully we'll implement them and leave this country better for our kids and grandkids than it was left for us. So that's my hope and my prayer. And again, prayers to Charlie Kirk's family and his loved ones. Horrible, horrible week. Whether you disagree or agree with someone, no one deserves that kind of violence, and, kids growing up without a parent, and a wife without a husband and a father. So terrible, terrible week. But just wanted to throw that out there. So again, gentlemen, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all. And we'll see you Tuesday at 8 p.m. Appreciate you all, and have a great night.